Deputy Speaker, the impact that the March floods have left in the Hawkesbury is as psychologically and economically as brutal as the bushfires we faced a mere 18 months ago. This is my first opportunity to place on the parliamentary record thanks for the extraordinary efforts of so many people, from the SES and emergency services who worked tirelessly as the waters rose and fell, airlifting or boating people to safety, getting food and medical supplies across the river, through to the initial clean-up where the RFS and ADF led their teams into war scenes at caravan parks and inside homes. And the volunteers at Rapid Relief Team, Hawkesbury's Helping Hands, members of Lions and Rotary Clubs and people who flew their own helicopters with food supplies to the maroon northwest of the river. I'm really reluctant to single out individual people because so many made a huge effort, from shopkeepers to elected officials, neighbourhood centres like Bligh Park, Anglicare, Red Cross, Samaritan's Purse. They all did what they could to support hungry, evacuated and scared people. But I am grateful to Karen Stuttle from the food charity Mountain of Joy, who messaged me to highlight the sense of panic gripping the community when supermarket shelves were unexpectedly bare on her side of the river, when every bridge was closed and a landslide on Bell's line of road cut off the last road access. Her message ultimately led to Coles and IGA recognising that their only option was to work with the SES and local residents to load up helicopters and barges with supplies. Seeing a steady flow of food made a really big difference for those stranded communities. All of this was part of a huge operation of neighbour helping neighbour, and I've seen that in every single community I've spent time with since the floods, from South Windsor up to St Albans and everywhere in between. What we're left with is a lot of distress and financial stress. When insurance jumps from $30,000 to $30,000, $50,000, $80,000 a year, it becomes absolutely unaffordable for homeowners, and renters are also affected. The amount of money charities have received so far pales into insignificance to the bushfire donations. And while there's been enormous generosity by individuals and local businesses, there's grants for agriculture and directly affected businesses and community groups to replace equipment and structures, unfortunately, many people and sporting clubs and community groups do slip through the criteria cracks, and the scale of this disaster means that much more is needed. I'll continue to support Turf Australia, vegetable growers, caravan parks and other property owners who are left with extraordinary damage to their riverbanks. This is an environmental disaster as well, and everyone has a common interest in wanting to ensure that the next flood doesn't have an even greater impact. I'll also support the residents of Greens Road in Lower Portland, whose road is washed away and they face a 30-kilometre detour indefinitely while Hawkesbury Council decides what to do. They need fast interim arrangements so that they can get on with their lives, because right now they've had about 9 weeks of limbo, as have parts of Cornwallis where the road is gone. And residents of Upper Colo, whose community is now divided by a destroyed historic timber bridge, they need a short-term measure. One example of the impact is that instead of popping across the bridge on a 20-minute drive, NDIS carer Alice now has to drive an extra 100 kilometres to provide support to her client Pete. It's hard to see why providing a temporary access for this often forgotten community isn't an absolute priority. I'll also continue to push for support for the businesses indirectly hit by this flood. The indirect small business grant I argued for bushfire-affected communities allowed many small businesses to hang on, and there are some who need it in this flood because of the significant fall in local trade and a drop in tourism, especially to the more than 2 dozen flooded caravan parks on the river. And I'll also push for improved phone and internet services because lives were at risk because of their failures. So it isn't over, and as people look at giant horseshoe-shaped gouges along the riverbanks, their land gone, old trees alongside the river washed away, it can feel overwhelming. The best psychological support we can give is to support the New South Wales Government and Hawkesbury Council to move fast with clear guidelines for landowners about what they can do to stabilise their banks. But it will come at a high price, and the federal government needs to be willing to step in. And many of us are left wondering why, when we voted in this chamber on a $4 billion disaster fund 2 years ago to fund $200 million of natural disaster recovery and mitigation each financial year, not a single cent had been spent, including in the Hawkesbury, where this flood was always only a matter of time.